What's up, everybody? So, there's not enough connection here to actually do a live, but if you can see, I am back in my old stomping ground of Sedona, Arizona, right underneath. That's Cathedral Rock over there. And if you look, I mean, you can't really see, but the two in the center, these two little, like, those two right there, it's actually a man and a woman sitting back to back. So it represents the masculine, feminine energy, and that's together in a relationship union, and that's also the masculine, feminine balance within each one of us. Oh my goodness, it's so hot out here. But I wanted to, there we go. Hi, good afternoon. Hi. There's always beautiful hikers that come down this area. So before I go back in to my beautiful Zen space of nature, I wanted to do a quick video for you guys. I just feel so peaceful when I'm here. So I'm in just such a mellowed out Zen space. Sedona always gets me back in my heart. Sometimes in the city, you know, it's a little bit harder, and with stress and all of that stuff, it just takes you out of that center place. So it's always really nice to, yes, come into nature no matter where you are, but the energy here is amazing. And yes, the vortexes are real, and they're beautiful and phenomenal. And this creek back here is absolutely just beyond gorgeous. How are you?
Pretty good.
Good, thank you. So what I mainly wanted to touch in on today is I tried to send this message before while in the cornfield. That didn't work out so well. And there was, over the weekend, I was listening to this beautiful woman, and she explained how there was a new crop circle that formed, I think it was either a week ago or a couple weeks ago, and it was an updated version of Metatron's cube. The energy of that is basically going to bring us into eclipse season, which is in August. I think it's either the 18th or the 23rd, is this massive eclipse that's going to be seen all over the world. Excuse me, I don't know if it's all over the world, but it's definitely in, if you're in California, you'll be able to see it, or if you're in the US, you should be able to see it. So the sky's going to go dark a little bit as we, you know, then basically have a shadow of the sun. There's bugs. Beautiful, beautiful nature bugs. The energy, basically, of this has a lot to do with our thoughts. It has a lot to do with paying attention to our thoughts. It has a lot to do with the liberty of our thoughts. And so what that ultimately means is, are you paying attention to the words that are constantly going through your mind? And I got a DM the other day, or a DL, download, of, I actually incorporated this into my talk that I just finished doing over in Grand Rapids in Michigan. And it has a lot to do with, sorry, I'm skipping all over the place. It has a lot to do with the ley lines that cover all over the earth, right? There's the Hartman grid lines. There's the traditional ley lines. They're about 6 feet by 8 feet. We're constantly walking through these. I believe, this is my personal theory, I believe that they carry, they're what electromagnetic frequencies run on. So it's what carries the electromagnetics, all of our, you know, radiation from our cell phones and whatnot. I believe that they also are carrier waves for our thought forms. And so some of you guys have heard me talk before about when I say, you know, your thoughts are not your own. And so in my talk, I referenced that what if these ley lines absorb the thoughts from us, from people all over the planet, And those thoughts are actually, since the grid goes across the planet, that's what's actually affecting the energy and the vibration of the planet. If you guys have been studying, heart math or anything like that, Greg Braden speaks out a lot, or, has kind of been a spokesperson for them, or at least been really supporting them in their message about how our heart energy and getting back into the heart energy and amplifying that out collectively especially can actually influence the resonant frequency of the planet. So I'm kind of tying in with that on the heart, and then tying it in with our thoughts. And what if our thoughts are running on these grid lines? And so if we're not paying attention to the thoughts that we're picking up on, one, the thoughts that we do create that stem from our emotions, right? And keep us looped in different patterns. What if the thoughts that we're picking up are actually from the field? So they're not coming from within us unless they're created by our own emotions, right? But let's say a thought that's on this grid line would then sync up with then your emotion. And what if it's not your authentic thought, right? So I hope I'm explaining this right. But the point is that when we can actually hear them and pay attention to them and choose whether they're ours or whether they're coming from somewhere else, and if we wanted to, we could actually listen to those different thoughts and then bring in more love and that resonant frequency to then transforming and metamorphosizing those thoughts and then sending the new positive thought out on the grid line. So I hope that theory makes sense. And it literally was like a download for 2 days that I ended up changing my whole talk around with. And having her then, this woman who was mentioning the crop circles, when she mentioned that, it all somehow seemed to synchronize together. Where, like I said, if this crop circle is representing our thoughts and the liberty of our thoughts, so where we're actually paying attention and then choosing the ones that we want and releasing the other ones, knowing that ultimately not all of them are ours, and not being in the loop of when you have an emotion, for instance, a negative one, right? Anxiety. A lot of anxiety has been coming up for people. Fears, all kinds of different fears, as we're transitioning into a new, higher, authentic version of ourselves. Or I should say our highest authentic version of ourselves. We have to move past those fears of stepping into that. So the inner child will kind of keep us in our comfort zone, and it pulls at our sweater kind of like, a young child would, because it doesn't want to feel abandoned, right? And if those thoughts that we're having with anxiety and with fear, as far as stepping into another higher authentic version of ourselves, the emotion that comes with that anxious emotion, that emotion will then create whatever thought, or you'll pick it up from the grid line, and then from there it will create another emotion of a similar vibration, lower vibration, right? In which case then you will have another thought or pick up another negative thought with it, and that keeps us looped. And so usually, when we talk about like getting stuck in a negative spiral, or when anxiety specifically, like, it's very difficult sometimes to get out of an anxiety-ridden loop. And so that's what I believe is happening. But what if that anxious energy, one, is us resisting stepping into our highest authentic version of ourselves, right? Our resistance, it's the little child resistance. And what if the fears and the thoughts that come along with those aren't actually ours? They're projected into the collective conscious, and we can choose whether to tap into those and take them on, or whether we just see them fly by. Around here, the other aspect that I love about this space in Sedona is there's so many beautiful dragonflies. And dragonflies, ever since I moved here, have always been a talisman of mine. There's been this bright orange one that would come and sit on the antenna of my car. And within a few months, whenever this dragonfly would come around, within a few months, major change would happen. And so whenever I come here, I always see the dragonfly. It's always this bright orange one. Of course, here at the creek, there's a million of them. But Sedona and the dragonfly of Sedona and the land of Sedona, I feel like has always, for me, represented the land of the dragonfly. And like I said, if that represents change, whenever you see that aspect, it means, or that talisman, right? It means that change is coming. And to then step strongly and powerfully into that change, and not just being able to tap into the fears, go into them, not trying to fight them, right? But really just allowing yourself to experience them. My girl Erica that I've been staying with, my sister here, is a beautiful psychotherapist, and we were talking about this with fears, right? And fear of change and fear of stepping into, it seems to be the theme now, right? Stepping into the highest version of yourself, of which we're always doing. There's always a next highest version, but really connecting with that authentic highest version of yourself, right? And she was mentioning something that I thought was very interesting, that an emotion, so be it fear, or be it anything rather, right? So even happiness, but ultimately that feeling, once you tap into that, it will last. The emotion in and of itself, the energetic vibration of the emotion, right, will last for 90 seconds. So think of it as almost like if you hit a singing bowl, right? And it takes 90 seconds for then the sound of that vibration to then slowly but surely tone all the way out until you can no longer hear it, right? So if your emotions are similar to that, then if you could hold out for 90 seconds, just 90 seconds, without attaching to a thought or bringing up a thought that then would keep you in that loop for another 90 seconds, right? If you can just go into it, feel it, experience it without attaching anything to it. Don't attach any meaning. Like, don't make it mean anything. Just hold out and experience that emotion for 90 seconds and see if the emotion subsides. Like a singing bowl, the vibration would ultimately cease to exist. So quite a few downloads happening with all of that, but there's some amazing, beautiful change happening, and this eclipse is going to bring in a lot of that. And Metatron's cube is everything. It's all the platonic solids. It's everything in our existence. Fire, it's all the elements. So everything that our whole world is made up of is literally in Metatron's cube. If you guys aren't too familiar with it, definitely go look it up. It's a beautiful symbol. It's a beautiful geometric image. Getting eaten by ants. So that's ultimately what the energy represents for this solar eclipse. Solar eclipse? I'm pretty sure it's a solar eclipse. And like I said, I think it's either the 18th or the 23rd. So just tap into that. I know every single client that I've been talking to has been experiencing different challenges with resistance and anxiety around that, as have I. Definitely been picking up on that energy. There was a lot of resistance that I had to push through. And it's like, are we committed more to our fears and our just not feeling good about stuff and committed to our resistance, or are we more committed to reaching our highest authentic version of ourselves? Because once we reach that, all of the freedom that we're ultimately looking for is on the other side of that door. So hold out for 90 seconds and you might just reach the other side of the door. So sending you guys love. I'll show you again from beautiful, amazing Sedona. Balance of masculine and feminine energy. And that's within you for every man, for every woman. And it's just time to rise up and be the ultimate, just spiritual badasses, change leaders, of what your authentic purpose and what your voice is here to do and share. So I love you guys all so much. You're an amazing, beautiful soul circle, and I love this community here. And so I'm hoping that this message has shed some light into anything that you're feeling right now and given you maybe some hope, a light at the end of the tunnel of where we're all going, because it's fun and it's getting really exciting, a little scary, and at the same time there's a fine line between scary and exciting. So holding on to that exciting part. But much love. You guys are amazing. Mwah. Love from gorgeous, gorgeous Sedona. Here, let's see if I can tap on that and let you guys see how beautiful these red rocks. They're so healing and so transformative. And if you ever get a chance to come out, I don't know, I ended up turning into 3 years of me living here before I ended up leaving, but I wouldn't take that experience back for the world. It's always great to come back. So I love you guys. Sending all my heart and love and freedom. Bye.